Just process this number for a second. 100,000 plus people who die of just fentanyl-related overdoses in the US. That is 50 times the number of people who died on 9/11. So I think if we can use our military effectively to take out terrorists like bin Laden and Soleimani and al-Zawahiri on the other side of the world, we can take the same steps to take out the cartels and the drug cartels south of the border in Mexico. That is how you solve the fentanyl crisis, and we will do it without apology. That is not racist. That is not xenophobic. That is standing up for the rule of law and actually protecting this country. And between declaring independence from China and protecting Americans on American home turf, including the 100,000 plus dying of fentanyl, you want a taste of my foreign policy? That's what America First foreign policy looks like to me.
All right, guys, so on this edition of Cuckoo for Cocoa Puff World, we have to fly out to California because it seems like they've become the land of the walking dead. No, literally, they've become the land of the walking dead, as allegedly a flesh-eating zombie drug is saturating the streets of Los Angeles and turning homeless people into zombies on the street. And I want to talk about this, but before we get into it, we have to have a word from the sponsor of this video, Noble Gold. Guys, we just experienced another major banking collapse despite assurances from the Biden administration and the federal government that, hey, everything is under control. But you know, we do have a major bank that hopefully won't collapse. Bank of America that is predicting that gold will go to $2,200 this year, an all-time high. Invest in a gold IRA today with Noble Gold Investments and take advantage of this rare opportunity to secure your retirement savings. With the experts at Noble Gold Investments, you can ride the wave of gold's historic rise to financial security. And this month, they're offering a solid silver 5-ounce America the Beautiful coin with every qualifying precious metals IRA or 401k rollover. You can't go wrong with Noble Gold Investments. Hurry and go to noblegoldinvestments.com to secure your wealth today and bag a free 5-ounce America the Beautiful coin if you qualify. Again, that is noblegoldinvestments.com. That is noblegoldinvestments.com. And just remember, there's always a risk with investments.
LA Sheriff's officials have launched a new program to track the so-called flesh-eating zombie drug. It's called xylazine. The animal tranquilizer has been increasingly showing up in local street drug supplies. Corrine Winter is live in downtown LA with those details.
Hi there, Lou. Well, from law enforcement officials to addiction specialists out there, there's a growing concern about the effects of this drug on the streets of Los Angeles, and that's prompted new action by LA County Sheriff's officials. The deadly opioid fentanyl. It's not the only potent narcotic ravaging the streets of Los Angeles.
I've never seen anything like what we're dealing with right now.
The animal tranquilizer, xylazine, also known as a flesh-eating zombie drug, is saturating the drug market locally, sometimes disfiguring users who develop severe sores. In some of the most extreme cases, people have had limbs amputated. Others have died from overdoses.
We had a woman come in and her sister had passed away from a fentanyl overdose. But not only was it a fentanyl overdose, her skin was starting to rot, the muscles on her leg and her arm. So that's a sure sign of xylazine.
LA County Sheriff's officials now taking steps to track the presence of xylazine, or tranq, in confiscated drugs. Why hasn't it been more on the radar for authorities? Xylazine isn't illegal. It's not a controlled substance, so whenever crime lab analysts detected the additive in other substances like fentanyl, it wasn't immediately flagged. Tranq, when added to fentanyl, increases a user's high.
It's really gruesomely disfiguring people, much more likely to stop someone from breathing. And the things that come along with xylazine, it's a vasoconstrictor. So when you're injecting it, it's actually reducing the blood circulation.
Both the DEA and Health Department have issued urgent warnings about xylazine. Some consider the county's pilot program a small step in this massive drug war with a staggering increase in deaths. But they say this move will give officials a better sense of the drug's prevalence on the streets of LA and how to counter this new threat. And what makes this drug especially dangerous is that Narcan cannot be used to reverse the effects of an overdose, since strength is not an opioid. That's the latest in downtown Los Angeles. Kareen Winter, KTLA 5 News.
Thank you, Kareen.
Yeah, so you guys seen that, you heard that. A zombie drug that eats people's flesh. The drug uses flesh. Again, it's turning homeless people on the streets of Los Angeles into zombies. It's like a scene out of The Walking Dead. Okay, this is America, folks, right? This is the state of our inner liberal cities, okay? This is the state of these inner liberal cities. You could be walking around Los Angeles, and you can quite literally see homeless people walking around like zombies while getting their flesh eaten, right? Because they put a drug that was laced with fentanyl in their bodies. And once again, we have this drug of fentanyl showing up here, okay, as a major problem in this country. And nobody's really talking about it. Nobody is really proposing any real solutions outside of a few GOP presidential candidates. Vivek Ramaswamy, who I like a lot, right? I think I probably like him more than most of the GOP candidates, to be quite honest with you. Real dark horse guy. Him and President Trump, okay, who has basically come out and said that, hey, he wants to give fentanyl drug dealers the chair.
Y'all can't be mad when the drug dealers kill Mac Miller, kill Michael K. Williams, kill Juice WRLD, Lil Peep, with any type of fentanyl type substance. Oh my God, give me my rappers back. And Uncle Trump said, all right, when we catch the drug dealers who pushing this shit with the fentanyl killing the people, we put them in the chair. And y'all mad. Like, what's wrong with y'all? Your Uncle Trump trying to do what y'all, he trying to clean up the streets, bro. Sorry. Y'all mad? It's not like he's saying, oh, if you're selling some weed. No, nigga. You pushing that fentanyl shit and killing niggas out here, you're going in the chair. When Lil Peep died, y'all was like, oh my God, I hate fentanyl. Oh my God. Yeah. Don't you think the nigga who killed Lil Peep should get a chair? No. They charge the drug dealers for that, by the way. And they charge a couple of niggas for Mac Miller shit, too. All them niggas who selling bad drugs, man. The fentanyl shit's out of control. Uncle Trump trying to put them niggas in the chair. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree. We got to get serious when it comes to this issue of fentanyl in this country, okay? Like, at this point, hey, maybe dealers that are pushing fentanyl in the streets, particularly, again, fentanyl, because it's extremely dangerous, maybe they should get the chair. Maybe we should treat it the same way we would treat a murder, because in my opinion, that's what it is to me, right? If you sell fentanyl to somebody, okay, illegally, it seems to me that you are attempting to murder that person, okay? It's not like selling weed to somebody, okay, well, probably the worst thing that will happen to them is that they'll just get super high and pass out and go to sleep. No. People are dying. People are dying in the hundreds of thousands, okay, from this drug. 2021, over 100,000 people died from drug-related overdoses. A lot of them fentanyl, okay? Fentanyl. Kids. Fentanyl-related deaths among children increased more than 30-fold. More than 30-fold between 2013 and 2021. And just guess how these drugs are getting here. How are these drugs getting here? Well, it's coming through the border after being made by cartels in Mexico, after getting the ingredients, the precursor ingredients, shipped from China. Take a look.
The U.S.'s largest port of entry.
Where are we all going today?
Also, its busiest. Each day, more than 100,000 people enter the U.S. through the San Ysidro crossing. About 800 Customs and Border Protection officers tasked with keeping the bad from seeping through this part of the border.
Very difficult and complex job for them to, in a matter of
moments and sometimes seconds identify whether someone presents a threat coming into this nation or not.
Among the deadliest threats, illicit fentanyl.
So we want to feel the door to make sure it doesn't feel heavy and there's nothing in there.
The CBP tells us that more than half of all the fentanyl found at U.S. borders comes from ports here in San Diego. Officials say this is ground zero for illicit fentanyl smuggling.
We will probably double what we saw last year within the next month or two.
That's double the amount of fentanyl seized in all of 2022 in just the first 4 months of this year.
But before the fentanyl even reaches the U.S. border, you need to know where it's coming from. And for that, we start not over there in Mexico, but in China.
Specifically, Shijiazhuang, China, a city some 200 miles south of Beijing, known for manufacturing pharmaceutical drugs, and once a major hub for fentanyl production. In May 2019, facing mounting U.S. pressure, China took a major step and banned the production and sale of all known forms of fentanyl, including any variants of the drug.
That was a big step. That stopped fentanyl, the powder, coming in from China direct into the United States.
Matt Donahue worked for the DEA for more than 3 decades, retiring last year as its chief of foreign operations. While he says finished fentanyl is no longer flowing out of China, precursor chemicals, the ingredients to make fentanyl, are.
If you can get to the precursor chemicals, you're going to have less fentanyl. You have less fentanyl, you have less overdose deaths.
Using that same approach, in recent years, the U.S. levied new sanctions against a handful of Chinese chemical manufacturers to combat the global illicit drug trade.
I mean, does this show, do you think, that U.S. sanctions aren't working or aren't effective?
The way in which the system is being exploited by these Chinese companies makes it hard to enforce everything.
Another problem, when one precursor is banned, a substitute chemical quickly takes its place.
So what they're doing now is they're buying compounds that are structurally very, very similar.
Chemists point out the ease of creating a substitute ingredient called a masked precursor. Simply put, make one small chemical change and it's no longer a banned precursor, but a legal substitute, one that's readily available to purchase by essentially anyone with internet access. DEA officials tell us the majority of precursors ship directly to Mexico, where cartels cook up fentanyl in secret labs. We wanted to see for ourselves. Traveling into the state of Sinaloa, cartel country as some see it, we got exclusive access with the Mexican army as they hunt for drug labs. They took us to their latest fentanyl lab bust, this unassuming home.
That white building right there, that's the fentanyl lab.
The Army says they seized 270,000 pills here, all containing fentanyl. Soldiers keep watch 24/7, preserving the scenes for prosecutors and preventing cartel members from restarting production here. Despite what we saw, and scenes like these, Mexico's president claims,
Aquí nosotros no producimos fentanilo.
Here in Mexico, we do not produce fentanyl, he said, instead turning it on the U.S., essentially asking why the U.S. can't fix its own social decay, comments that immediately made headlines across the country. China's foreign ministry points the finger in the same direction. They told us, quote, using China as a scapegoat will not solve the drug crisis in the United States. With U.S. drug overdoses at record levels and a relentless demand for opioids, blame shifts from one country to another. International cooperation appears increasingly unlikely.
Yeah, why would they cooperate? This is exactly what they want. This is an easy way for China to essentially kill American citizens without having to fire a single bullet, right? Just have these Chinese companies produce these technically legal precursor drugs, okay, ship them to Mexico and have the cartels whip them up into fentanyl and then have them shipped across the border, right? And again, it's because the Biden administration is soft on the border, okay? Soft on border policies is making it even worse. Again, China has declared war on this country in so many different ways, but we have a soft on China president, and that's the problem, or it's part of the problem. I mean, China has declared psychological warfare on us when it comes to TikTok, poisoning the mind of children, and they're actually really poisoning the body of people by importing drugs into this country through Mexican cartels that are killing people, hundreds of thousands of people. And this is not a conversation that we're talking about, okay? CNN clearly is aware of the problem, but they didn't think the problem was important enough to ask the President of the United States, who says, hey, I want to execute drug dealers, right? Dealers that, deal fentanyl, I want to execute them. She didn't even think to ask him about that, to ask him about this major issue, right? But again, they'll ask about some silly issue that does not cost 100,000 lives, right? They'll ask about that, but they won't ask about real issues like this. Again, it's kind of crazy, man, that this is what's happening in our country. Again, we have zombies on the street of Los Angeles. Zombies. Nobody's talking about it, right? Nobody's talking about it. Not an issue. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.